This season on Sorare, I have decided to completely change my strategy, and we're going to be targeting some different divisions and hopefully having a lot of fun. There's a lot of transactions to go through, a lot of buys, a lot of sales, and a lot of things to talk about and explain why I did certain things, and we're going to get into it in this video, and I'm really excited actually because this is going to be a fun one. Buckle up. Sorare in the summer is a really fun game for absolutely no one. Transfers and rumors are diabolical sometimes. Now, the odd person makes a bit of profit here and there, and you'd love to see it, but a lot of the time, there's a lot of burning that happens when it comes to transfer rumors, especially with Saudi Arabia poking their nose around in everyone's business. And it's been a really interesting summer for transfers. But I feel like so far, touch wood, I have actually been pretty lucky with some of the transfers that we've had. And because of that, it's caused me to look at potentially a change of strategy and look at and reevaluate my Sorare gallery. Now, last year, if you guys didn't see the video I made a video on how much I made on Sorare, and I basically targeted only rare pro divisions for the entire year, and I made about 20 ETH in the year. Did really well. I think 20 ETH in a year is a phenomenal amount of money, and you know, I would be very happy to make that again this year. Realistically, that would be awesome, especially with the current ETH rise in value in the last few days. But I wanted to change my strategy off of a few different things and target super rares this year, because I think super rares are going to be where I think the main area that I will do well in Sorare. I think super rare is going to be that. It's going to be the right place, if that makes sense. I think I'm not gonna lie, I've been thrown by the fact that this list thing is just like opened up there. I got a bit confused there. That's why I stumbled on my words. I think super rare is where my gallery needs to go next, and you can already see some of the super rare purchases I've made to moving into that. But rare pro is not going to be, you know, dead and buried. We're still going to play rare pro, but I think super rare is going to be one of my sort of focal points in the next season. And let's have a look at some of the buys and sells we've made. Now, I was pretty lucky over the summer. My summer strategy was to buy 2 or 3 big boy super rares and a few big boy rares and just play rare pro. And I got really lucky, and one of the luckiest areas I got was obviously finishing second in All-Star Rare Pro. I won myself a Mike Mignon and about 0.4 ETH. So nearly 1.3 ETH in the gallery just from that win alone, which really helped me bolster, as well as selling a lot of my cards. Now, I had some really strong pieces in under 23, and that was one of the areas where I was strongest, and it's one of the areas where I have kind of moved out of. Now, the only reason why I moved out of under 23, not because I don't think it's a good place to play, more so it's because, like, under 23 is somewhere I would like to play in due time. I would like to build under 23 later in the season, but it's something I honestly am not that interested in. I've never really been interested in under 23, like, bar the Mbappe reward potential. Like, I don't have a big interest in buying a 20-year-old player and watching him grow. Doesn't really interest me. I like to play in divisions where I have big hitters and the big boy rewards are on offer and I have strong teams. That's just how I am. I've always been a kind of high roller. So majority of my sales were in the under 23 section. We sold Jeremy Doku, who I actually made a really nice profit on Doku. So I bought him a while ago. I mean, like, a while ago. We picked him up for around 0.149 ETH and sold him for 0.312 ETH. So I made a good profit. In fact, on a lot of these cards, I made pretty decent profit. I did the same thing with Batarina. Batarina is a card that I picked up for roughly half of what I sold him for. So I picked up Batarina a few months ago, round about when I bought Doku. Bought him for 0.191 ETH, sold him for 0.44 ETH. Good profit on Batarina. And there's a few cards here and there that I had the same sort of effect on. And then we look at some of the other cards that I then sold too. So I made a loss on Hadziahmetovic. I picked him up for about 0.8 ETH, and then I sold him for around... I bought him for 0.9 ETH, sold him for about 0.43. Not ideal, but, you know, it is what it is. Like, sometimes you win some, sometimes you lose some. I don't think the Besiktas move is a great one for him. His AA game seems to not be anywhere near as good at Besiktas as it was at, I forget the name. I think it's Giresunspor. So, not ideal, is what it is, right? Con was a reward, got 0.4 for him. I don't know if he's going to go up or down in price with the links to Monaco, but I sold him last week and I got pretty lucky that I sold him then. Mere is one, like, there's a few cards I did make a loss on. So Mere is a card that I sold for about 0.5, about half an ETH, but it's a card that I bought for about 1.2, but prices were different back then, and I definitely won a lot back from Mere as well. So we get into some of the big boy purchases now after the sales. One of the biggest purchases I made is a super rare Lars Understall. Now, for those of you that don't know, the 20 stack I had last year was undoubtedly the most influential and important stacks in my gallery. If I look at I swapped my Gizmo for someone else, so I'm going to look at my Gizmo here, right? My Smile I picked up for 1.7 ETH, and I made back about 1.65 ETH in 1 year, which is huge. I think proper would be the same. If I find the proper that I have in my gallery, it would be something similar. Where is big boy Robin? I'll have to scroll down a little bit for him though. Here we go. Robin proper. I picked up for 0.6 ETH, I think, roughly. Yeah, 0.66 ETH, and proper has contributed to 0.7. About 0.8 ETH. Because a lot of these cards I sold pretty much straight away. So it contributes about 0.8 ETH as well in my gallery, which is absolutely huge. So both of those cards have had a big boy effect on my gallery, which is absolutely huge, right? So I thought what would make a lot of sense is picking up a super rare Lars Understall, because I want to play in the super rare division, and it's something I want to play in. So super rare Lars Understall, I picked him up for around 1.7 ETH. At the moment, there's an auction for 1.55 ETH, and then one more on the market for 3.5 ETH from Pavel. So it's a pretty decent purchase, and it makes a lot of sense with my gallery. So that is one of the first big boy purchases I made. I then looked about 4 days ago. I picked up a Kerem Aktürkoğlu. I don't know if you pronounce that right. And I picked up a super rare Desart. Now, Desart is just a really consistent player. I think in the super rare division, I think he'll be a really, really good card to have. His scores are really consistent. He's a very, very good player. And if we look at the price I paid for him, I paid 0.8, and he sold the same day for 0.85, or a day after, sorry, for 0.85. So all in all, we did pretty well on Julian Desart. Now, I picked up the start of what is going to be a big strategy in my gallery, the Galatasaray stack. I paid 0.6 ETH, or 0.62 ETH, and I also sent my rare Marlon, who I don't think is a 0.3 card, which is what he was when I sent him. He's now listed at 0.26. I would be shocked if this card is more than 0.15 ETH. He is a good scorer, but I don't think we get these scores consistently, so I wanted to get out of him. Considering I want him as a reward, I would say the upside on him was huge. So, that was the first big purchase we made. All right, it's a card that is probably, for me, this card is worth more than what I paid. Someone paid 0.922 the other day. For me, it's like a 1 ETH card. Very happy with that. It's a start of the Galatasaray stack. I also went then after and picked up a super rare Mauro Icardi. Now, super rare Mauro Icardi is going to be a big card in my gallery, I think. Recently re-signed to Galatasaray, a permanent deal, and fits the gallery perfectly. So we picked up Mauro Icardi to partner with Kerem, but he's not the only one picked up, because yesterday I finally, after a lot of searching, managed to pick up a super rare Fernando Muslera, who has got about a year left on his contract and probably a year left to play professionally. But for 0.788 for a guy who's going to be playing in a very dominant Galatasaray team with a lot of really good signings and, you know, midweek utility, and also just previously really good scores, is one that I'm really excited for in the gallery. I think at 37 he's a bit of a risk. However, I think that this is a guy where I truly think that Galatasaray will be a very dominant team in the Turkish league this season. I see him being the number one all year. I thought it was a good purchase to make. So, to end off that side of things, today we finally finished it. And I didn't want to make this video until we finally finished the stack. We picked up, for 0.8 ETH, we picked up a super rare Angelino. Now, it looks like I bought at the top here. Maybe I have. He sold for 0.75 or 0.5, 0.57 before. Maybe I bought at the top here. But I think that Angelino is going to smash it in Turkey. I think he'll be absolutely fantastic for Galatasaray. I think that he'll get a lot of decisives as well. I am looking forward to it. I think he'll be a great card to have in the gallery, and he links to everyone else. So, to kind of visualize it for you, let me explain how what we've sort of done. Now, I put limiteds in here just to have them as placeholders, right? We've effectively built 2 strong super rare teams to play in All-Stars or capped 270 and Challenger super rare. I want to have 2 strong teams, one in each division, for the entire year pretty much if I can, and to pick up super rare rewards across the year, because my gallery now, or like, most rare cards I'll win, it's very likely I sell them and try and buy super rares anyway. So it makes more sense to me to be trying to win those super rares that can bolster my gallery a little bit more. So I'm quite excited about that. I think that it makes a lot of sense to have some of these cards in the gallery. I'm really excited for the Galatasaray stack. I think that in certain game weeks it could absolutely smash. I just need an extra here. Now I do have quite a lot of super rare depth now. If we look, I have some really good super rares now. I have some bad ones as well, but I have Vita Van Croy, Joao Paulo, Kim Min-jae, Danny Parejo, Tiquinho Suarez, and then we go down and there's a lot less in regards to the depth. Fred, if he gets a good move. So for all intents and purposes, we'll put Vita Van Croy in there. Like, we have two genuinely really good potential sides out at one given time, and there are obviously more purchases yet to be made, and there will be more purchases that reach the gallery soon, so don't worry about that. So that is the side of things where we have a brand new strategy, and the approach is going to be sort of super rare. I want to be winning super rare rewards. It's something I'm really, really want to do. It's something I wanted to do for a while, and I finally have the ability to do it. And I think those two teams in super rare are super strong, because if we get a home game against a bad team for Twente and we get the clean sheet, it's very likely the defensive stack has a very strong game. And then Galatasaray, I think, will have a lot of game weeks over the season against teams they will absolutely smash. And I mean, looking at it historically, like, even without the additions of Angelino, without the additions of, like, some of the people they've signed recently have been huge. Without those additions, like, they still smashed last year, and I think we've got some really good cards for the Galatasaray stack, so I'm excited for it. Breathe. Anyway, then we get into the rare pro side of things, which isn't going to be changing at all. So the next step of the strategy involves my super rare Kim Min-jae, who is arguably one of my best super rares in my entire gallery. Now, I was very lucky. Kim Min-jae got a favourable move. Kim Min-jae has moved to Bayern Munich. It's not fully announced yet, but it's pretty much done. Kim Min-jae has moved to Bayern Munich. Now, the reason why that works really well is I already have Kimmich, who's Bayern's best scorer, in the gallery. So, to me, it made perfect sense to go out and pay the ridiculously cheap price, in my opinion, of 0.37 for Manuel Neuer. I picked up a Neuer rare goalkeeper card. Now, the only concern with Neuer is he might not be fit for the first two games of the season, but he will be number one when he's fit. I'm not concerned about that at all. Another 37-year-old goalkeeper in the gallery, bit of a risk, but I think that for 0.37, it's a risk worth taking. And I think that to have a sort of stack, a buy-in stack, is very, very strong. But it doesn't end there, because I went and did a deal with the devil again. Pavel, not the devil, you know what I mean. Like, I went and did another deal with Pavel after. And to pick up some rare depth in that division, we picked up rare Kingsley Coman and rare Delict. And I got rid of a bunch of super rares that just hadn't sold in a long time. I don't know if these cards have sold now, if Pavel did sell them or not. These cards hadn't sold in a very long time. And yeah, so I just thought it made sense to Pavel them and to then swap them to some rares that are actually going to help my gallery out massively. Another one was Joao Paulo, who I think is a decent card. He's just not super insane. Pavel ended up buying him. This guy ended up buying him off Pavel. I think yeah, it's an interesting deal. So I'm very happy to get rid of some super rares I will not be using next season in order to bring in some rares that make a lot of sense. So now we have, of course, including Kimmich and including Neuer and whatnot, where you can add on a Kingsley Coman and a Delict card onto that. But not to mention as well, we have some good super rares to partner. So I think more often than not, unless Neymar stays at PSG, which is potential, or Neymar gets a favourable move, when Messi is no longer available, or Tadic is no longer available, or Coutinho is no longer available as my forward, I think it makes sense to play something like this into All-Star Rare Pro. That, to me, is a team that can absolutely smash. It's got a lot of potential. Parejo is a great player so long as he doesn't go to Saudi. Kim Min-jae, I think, will smash it Bayern. I think that could be a really good team. And also, Kim Min-jae links then to Coman, to Kimmich, to Neuer. So I think it works really well in my favour. So I'm really excited for next season for Rare Pro. And of course, super rares that are potentially win or sell or buy other super rares will obviously then, I think it all makes sense. It all links. So there we have an All-Star Rare Pro team. But it doesn't end there, because we have other pieces that make sense. Like, I went out then and I bought, I needed another goalkeeper for Challenger, because I had one, but I wanted a better one, and I wanted someone that I could put in with midweek utility as well. So I've went out and I picked up a rare Kel Roos, who I think is someone that, like, I don't get me wrong, I'm not expecting these scores. I'm not expecting these scores every game week, but he's someone that gets good AA, and I think that, like, it's a goalkeeper that makes sense. Because of the game weeks as well, I think it makes a lot of sense. So I picked him up for the gallery as well as my main Challenger Europe goalkeeper. And we also have a lot of American cards still in the gallery as well. So all in all, the main strategy change has become the fact that we are going to target super rare. And I think my main 3 lineups to start next season will look something like this, right? Now, obviously, there are still going to be pieces that come and go in the next few weeks. And if moves make sense, right? But it'll end up being a case of, you know, a 20 defensive stack with whoever as a midfielder and forward, a Galatasaray stack with a good differential as the extra, and then a Bayern plus whoever as a all-star rare pro team. And I think realistically we are on for a strong start to the summer season. Now, I will have a bunch more lineups out that make sense. They just won't be as strong as these in my eyes, right? Like, I will have a Challenger Europe Pro team, a Cap 240 Super Rare, Cap 240 Rare, Cap 270 Rare, All-Star Rare, that kind of thing. Like, I have a bunch of different lineups out as well, and hopefully with rewards we'll build out as well. But I remember last season I started the season off with 2 or 3 main lineups and built into having a plethora of lineups, and that is the plan again this season, is to start strong and start with 3 strong lineups, try and win rewards from those, and then eventually build out into more lineups. So that is kind of the strategy change. I hope I've explained it well. Obviously, like, this is not the end of the strategy change. Like, in the next, I don't know, week, even in the next 2 weeks, there will be new cards in the gallery, right? I still have ETH to spend. I've not spent all the ETH I had. I still have cards to sell and buy and stuff like that. So there will be cards that make sense that come in, and there'll be cards that make sense that go out, and I will be making updates and stuff like that. In terms of my lineups for this current game week, though, if you're interested, I have a really strong All-Star Rare Pro lineup out. I have home games for everyone, good lineups, good matchups for everyone as well. We have Sanfrecce against 17th in the league at home. We have the Revs against DC United at home. We have Tiquinho at home, and we have fully rested Tiquinho at home, and we have Joao Paulo at home to Dallas. Then we have All-Star Rare, where we have Newell's Old Boys at home. We have Gerson against Fluminense. We have Cecilia against Gangwon, and then we have Davidson as the extra. And then we have a Champion America Rare Pro team, which is just basically Houston, who likely don't keep a clean sheet, so I'll just throw him in here because Bo's not guaranteed to start, and we'll just see what happens, right? Like, it could go well, it probably won't. They probably don't keep a clean sheet. I'm probably going to be left with my in my hand, but it is what it is. So that is pretty much it for the gallery change, for the strategy change, and what we're looking at. To summarize, yeah, it's pretty much going into super rare with 2 main teams to focus, and then hopefully to build out into more. And that is kind of where we are with the gallery, and that is the plan. Let me know your thoughts down below, and if you have anything to add, I'd love to hear your comments down below. Thank you all for watching the video. If you guys have enjoyed, make sure to leave a like down below. Subscribe if you are new around here. Make sure to catch the streams as well. And I'll see you guys in the next video.